So, hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of About Her. I'm really excited to have the wonderful Sandrine with me today. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so happy to have you. And we had a bit of a struggle to find a time, and now it's even more juicy to have you on there. So, thank you so much, Sandrine. And I would love to start with you telling us a bit more about you so that people know about the amazing work you are doing.
So my name is Sandrine, I'm French, and I have been an energy healer for 15 years now, and energy teacher for 10 years. And I have written two card decks to work about light and shadow parts and archetypes. And I've been teaching to many, many people, and I really like to share what I've discovered on healing sessions, on one-to-one healing sessions. And that's the things I like to do. I came to energy healing because I needed it myself. Yeah, you have to first work on yourself before you share it to anyone else. But because I have had a very hard childhood, and I was very angry all the time. So I really need to heal that. This is why I started that at the beginning, to heal myself.
Our challenges, isn't it, that brings us to our gifts or brings us to our purpose.
Yeah.
If we are,
yeah, that's true.
I think all the people who have interviewed for the podcast, which is about like 30 or 35 now, have shared this moment of, oh, I needed it for myself. I discovered it for myself. And then it gave me so much release that I wanted to share. And I think it's actually beautiful that the universe works that way, that we go through that ourselves, and then we are not only able to share, but there's like this motivation of, I want to like offer that to other people because it helped me so much, because there were so many beautiful insights.
Yeah, that's for sure. I always say to my students, we are like, mountain guides. We can't take people to path we haven't walked first. It should be too dangerous to do that. So you really have to work for yourself, on yourself first, discover things that you can or can't do, and then you can share it, but not the other way around. It doesn't work.
Yes, I agree. And I love the picture. Thank you so much for sharing, because, often there's this, I don't know if you have encountered that too, but especially in the field of psychology or therapy, there often is this outside belief of, oh, okay, she's a therapist, she needs that for herself, and there's kind of this like being looked down at, as if you're a therapist, you need to have it all together all the time. And I think nothing could be further from the truth, but it doesn't say that if you don't have it together, you are not able to support others. On the contrary, I think, like you said, we need to walk that path ourselves and to really being able to support others. So if people struggle with their own stuff, it doesn't mean that they can't help others.
Yeah, as long as they work on that.
Yes. It's more about like being a few steps ahead, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. That's exactly what it is.
But it doesn't mean that we are already like struggle free or healed or however people call it. I don't think there's such a thing as...
No, I don't think there's such a thing. Exactly. I think I think all our lives we're going to have challenges to come over, and it's okay, because this is how we grow, this is how we expand, this is how we learn more and more. And I think there is one thing that is very nice and very magic, is called resilience. Is when you know that you're not perfect, but you have overcome enough to share. And this is the nice part of it.
That's really beautiful. I feel it gives us the maybe the humbleness to stay grounded. And we talked a bit before we hit record about the ego, to not go into the ego too much just because we kind of figure something out that works for us. and we teach it to others, so that there's kind of, a balance between the insights, but not getting to a place where we feel like, oh, that's the only solution, because there isn't the only solution. Just like you say, being on a path and taking people with us on a path that we already know a bit, and then walking together and discovering new things together. So it's kind of a beautiful co-creation.
Yeah, and we are always teaching and learning from each other. I means when I'm teaching to people, I know that at some point I'm going to learn something from them too. And this is where humbleness is very useful, because if you think that you can teach and they know nothing, you can never learn from them. And when you know that you will obviously learn something, then it's more, and we're all equals in some points. Not because I have done more work on myself that I'm better or that I'm superior in whatever. No way. I'm just one person walking my way and trying to, give tips to other people. Okay, mind your feet. Here, there's a rock. Like that.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah.
That makes the work you do much more powerful, because it's not up there. It's not like the guru state, but it's like we're doing that together, and I can learn from you. And I think it's beautiful how the universe is designed that way, that we can each mirror the other one and learn from the other one. So there's always that energy balance of giving and taking. And even though you might have a much more deep knowledge around the work of energy, someone else can teach you about something else. So it doesn't have to be on the same topic, but we are always intertwining our wisdom and our insights and create something really new together when being open and curious. I think that's a big point that needs to be there before we can actually start learning from each other, is kind of the open approach going into a situation or a relationship.
Yeah, it's true. And also because sometimes people who haven't done much work on themselves, they are quite coming over in a healing session, for example, they are quite a challenge, because you have to find new ways to use your tools. And so they are teaching you something. Maybe they don't teach you proper tools, but they teach you about yourself, about patience, about being tolerant also, because some people are much resistant and they take a long time to do a path that we could walk on 2 days or 2 sessions, and they take 10. And so they teach you about patience. And some people teach you about some things they've read and you've never learned about, you've never heard about that. So it's always being open and being receptive. So it's about
I love
that.
that, because that's what I wanted to ask you about your cards and like the topic of curiosity, because you mentioned before we are kind of never finished with growing, evolving, learning. And I 100% agree on this. But sometimes there's the path, like kind of a dividing of the path to say, like, oh my God, I'm never finished. And you can kind of go into that goes on forever. I'm never healed, kind of drained energy. Or you can choose that curiosity. And I think a wonderful way, maybe for me personally or for the women in my world, is to use tools as crystals or cards, something that has this mysticism to it, but also the tangibility of having something we can look at to spark that curiosity and to say, like, okay, well, yeah, of course, I'm always learning and it's kind of a must, but I can make it really joyful. And it can be such a sweet, nourishing experience to learn, to grow, to work on my shadows, to overcome challenges. It doesn't have to be. I'm a strong believer that it doesn't have to be a horrible experience to work on your shadows, but it can be something that is really beautiful and inspiring. And I think cards are a wonderful tool. So I would love to know what you shared a bit before we hit record, what brought you to creating these cards. What's your intention behind the way you did them?
Well, at the beginning, really, I had no intention of creating them. As I said before, it just came to me. I was working on myself a lot, and I told you, I was very angry, and I had all these things stuck in the shadow. Okay. And I was meditating a lot to understand myself better, to just be soft with me, because I had not been for a long time soft with myself. And yeah, in my meditation, I had that thing coming, which was, I am your shadow, I am your shadow. And so I worked on my shadow more and more and more, and it lasts for, I don't know, 3 months before I just got a bit mad about that sentence coming up. And I decided, okay, you're my shadow. What do you want to tell me? Because I think I don't get it. So I took a notebook and wrote that very nice text. And I was like, okay, that's very nice. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but it's nice. I get it. Maybe this is going to leave me alone a bit for a while. And 3 days after, in my meditation, came that message, I am your light, I am your light. So I wrote the text right away, because I was like, oh, I know now I'm not going to last that for 3 months. So I wrote it, and then I had, I am your inner power. Then I had, I am your light ego. I am your shadow ego. And then came, I don't know, 12, 15 different texts. And I really didn't know what I was going to do with them. So I asked one of my friends who know me very well. And I told her, okay, I've got these texts and I really don't know what I'm supposed to do with them. And I think there's more to come. And she said, oh my God, you could do a deck of cards and we could work with them because the text is so nice and blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay, why not? And I was like, in myself, I was like, my God, I'm not going to do that ever. Like, who does she think I am? But I let the idea flow, because I know that if you're stuck in resistance, it hurts. What you resist to, it keeps coming.
Yeah.
So you never get rid of it, actually, because you resist, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so at one point you have to let go. So I would just like, okay, whatever comes, comes. I don't know. And I ended up with, I don't know, that's 52 cards in the deck. Lot, actually, lots of them. And at the end of them, because there's different families in the deck, there's light and shadow and light emotions like joy and peace and so on, and shadow emotions like grief, like which have two sides. Obviously, they all have two sides, right? Like anger, like fear, and so on. And there's another one. The last family I had at the beginning was the archetypes, because this is something I really work a lot with. And it's very important because it helps people understand the way they function, their patterns and everything. And I showed it to another friend, and he told me, okay, darling, you know what? This deck is absolutely wonderful. I really love it. But the archetypes, they've got nothing to do with that. You have to take them out. I'll make a full deck of them because there's not enough.
Yeah.
And you have to find another family to, I don't know, make a bridge between shadow and light. So I had to work on 8 more cards, which are double, like sun and moon, like strength and weakness, control and letting go, and so on. And so it shows like being selfish and being generous. Sometimes being selfish is a good thing because you need time for yourself. You need to think about yourself because you are walking through a difficult time and you need to focus on yourself. And sometimes generosity is obviously, when you say it, it's better than a selfishness. But sometimes generosity is too much because where is your place in your place when you just always give out, always your time, your energy, and you keep nothing for yourself. So this is the balance, right? And
Beautiful.
there's balance in everything. You need to balance everything. Sometimes frustration is in the shadow part. But sometimes it's good to experience frustration because it takes you to know whatever you want.
Yeah.
Takes you to learn something. What doesn't it work? It's frustrating when it doesn't. I know that. But sometimes learning why it's not working takes you to a wise place.
Yeah.
So frustration is a good thing to go through, you know? And this is how the second deck of cards came at after that, because I had to write all the other cards, and there's 52 as well about archetypes. Wait, what?
Thank you so much, Erin. That is so inspiring. And I think it's really beautiful how the universe is actually very stubborn and not letting go if it wants us to do certain things, even though you said resistance came up or you like had no motivation, no intention to do it. But then again, there's almost no choice to do certain things if the universe really insists on them. And the beauty that comes out of that, and I think like the support you can give others with arts is immense. So in hindsight, it's quite logical why that way. But during that time, we talked about briefly about like the unknown and trusting into what you have no idea what's coming. That's just a situation you described. You had no idea what it was about, why you needed to write down these texts. So there's often other people we kind of involve in finding
Yeah.
the clarity.
Yeah, it's very important to remember that we don't walk alone. And sometimes we walk ahead of people because we have to take them with us because we have learned something we can share. And sometimes it's important to remember that these people who are behind, they also have wisdom. They also have a way to see you that you can't have. So turning to them and ask them for help, it's very good because this is where we are all teachers and students in life.
Yeah. Yes, it's really beautiful. We talked about that a bit before. We're like learning from our clients and learning from the people we are in work relationship with, because there is no good or less good when it comes to life lessons, basically. So I think that's really important to remember, that even though someone else is more far ahead, it doesn't mean you cannot support them in a different way. And in my work with clients, a lot of like the imposter syndrome comes up, and I think it's really relevant in here, as that's often like, I don't know enough, or I have not enough proof of whatever I'm doing, and therefore we kind of doubt that we are actually valuable in that area. And it's not that way. Like he said, the people behind you can give you a totally different perspective on yourself, on the world. They can see something really different. When we stay with the image of walking a path together, they can see something that you haven't seen. And so therefore there's always the value in people. And for me, it really touches my heart to see how many of us women, in the case of my clients, are devaluing their selves, or kind of like doubting themselves to a point where they say like, oh, I have nothing to share or to give or to contribute to.
I think we are taught that from school. Like it's always about competition in a way. Who's better? Even sometimes in in a family, you have those siblings and the parents say, "Oh, he's doing better than you at his age. He was able to blah blah blah, and you are the same age and you can't do it." And but maybe I can do other things that he was not able to do when he was my age. So this is how it works. It's not a competition. It's about each person has their own rhythm, their own path. And I have some clients who come and say, okay, do you think I can come to your teaching because I'm 70 years old? And I go, is there a problem in this? Like, I don't, yeah, maybe I'm too old. Like, no. Like this year in my class, I have a 28 years old girl and I have a 71-year-old woman. And I have different ages in between. But I think this is very beautiful because it shows that each person has their own rhythm and their own path to walk. And you're never too young or you're never too old or you're never too whatever or not enough whatever to do what you think you have to do or to do what you feel you want to do. So it's not a thing of competition. It's a thing of just trust what's inside of you and just go for it.
It's really beautiful. I feel that the age gap isn't relevant, or that we kind of can't teach ourselves. But yeah, I know the argument so much, like, oh, I would start that if I were younger, or I'm too old to learn a new language, or whatever comes up. And well, maybe I cannot like really give my opinion on all of these because I don't feel that I'm too old to learn a new language. But I think it's really sad because for me, as long as we're alive in here, we're never too old. So you could
true.
like come to an energy class 95 plus, and it's wonderful, So there isn't a too old, too young to feel this. At least when I grew up, within the community that I was, and I've experienced that with other clients as well. So it's definitely not only Germany in the 90s, but there's like, you need to fit into a box, and if you're not perfectly fitting into that box, then something is wrong with you. That's the way school works here. It's like always based on picking mistakes instead of looking at where your strengths are. And it's the same way that people interact with each other in these school systems. Most often is like, oh, you're not fitting in there. Something is not right. And that kind of leaves what we're just talking about, I think, in so many of us. It's like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough, not intelligent enough, not beautiful enough or wise enough, or whatever comes up. But there's always this downgrading of the self based on what we've witnessed or experienced from the outside.
Yeah, and sometimes it comes from the inside as well, as I was saying. In my family, it was much like this. I had a younger brother who was very clever, and I always felt he was so clever that I was stupid, right? Because this is how my stepfather used to compare us. Like, oh my God, you're so stupid. I can't help you. Maybe when you grow up, you can stick labels on pea boxes or pea cans, right? And I was just like, because I couldn't understand math, and he was very much into math, and I was much into learning languages and into I don't know, literatures, and most of all, I was more into dreaming, daydreaming, night dreaming. I was a dreamer actually, and I didn't fit in his box, but maybe I could have fit in many, many other boxes, but I had no idea I could, because I was just like focused on, my God, he was right. I'm stupid. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do math. It's just like not my way to work. But that doesn't mean I'm stupid. I know it now, but it took me like 40 years to understand that.
Wow. I feel it's always like being a parent or a caregiver. There's so much that you can do wrong. I normally like don't look at that side of things, but like if I hear something, it's like, oh my God. But because he might have not been really conscious of that, but what he kind of offered you, or what you've accepted in as a suggestion, is like, oh, I can't do it. I'm not good enough, not clever enough, or whatever. And it's Me too. I only learned in my 30s that I'm able to accept information in or reject it. I don't have to like take everything in that other people say about me. And so I think
Yeah.
like I'm really happy I can like now teach that to my kid, because I would have loved to know that in an early age, that if someone says I was too not good at math, and I too thought I'm stupid. My parents didn't say that, but kind of school suggested, oh, you're not good at that. You're kind of like, why are you not getting it as fast as the others? It was just not mine. And I think depending on who we are raised with, who we're spending time with, we can very easily develop this like, oh, I'm compared to that person or that level of knowledge, I fall short of that, and therefore that's a bad thing. But not looking at what can you do really good. Maybe you're super creative, or you're wonderful at storytelling because you're such a big dreamer and you have this wonderful intuition and you could write poems, and you're good in other like parts that are even taught in school. But there's always a focus on the lack, which humans have kind of adopted very much into their lives, and it's sad because we limit ourselves with that. So I would love to know, like, what was it for you? Maybe not one thing, but that you helped you overcome that really early on installed belief of I cannot do that. I'm stupid when it comes to math.
Actually, I am going to relate that to one of my archetypes, which is the rebel. And my rebel inside was like, okay, you think I'm not able to do anything? I'm going to show you.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like a kind of a rebel warrior I developed at some point. And I was like, okay, let's go. I'm going to go to university and show you that I can do languages, that I can do many things that you don't think I can, because you down loop on them, because they are not worthy for you, because you think that math are everything. And I'm going to learn Spanish and English and be fluent in both of them. And then I'm going to show you. And this is how I overcome that. I think I had that very, I don't know, very strong. This was built on anger. I understood that much later, but it just angered me so much to be treated that way that at some point I just used that fire of anger and just, okay, now I've got that strength that anger gives me, and I'm gonna just like break everything you think I can't do except math, because I can't. Like, it's okay, I can't, but I can show you that I can do anything else. So
Yeah, there's so much wisdom in there, because we talked about that briefly before, that there's emotions that we kind of see more as good or bad, light or shadow, but you can always alchemize the darker things or the more shadowy things into the light. So that's exactly what you did. You kind of took that anger, and instead of letting it consume you and give up, which you could have easily done as well, you did for saying like, okay, I can show you and myself that I'm able to do so many things. And then,
that's true.
like the phoenix rising out of roof.
Rising out of the fire of anger.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm asking this because I feel that's something I'm working a lot with, this victim mentality that is a collective, really big thing. And that we're always blaming someone else for how we are operating or navigating our lives, and often not taking on the responsibility to say like, but it's my choice. And even though my past was not ideal, whose was, I can stay in the victim suffering mentality, or I do something with it and I transmute it. And I really love to help people shift perspectives to see even their challenges as something that benefits them if they choose to walk that path. Because there's always something you could learn, always something you can transmute into even the worst scenarios. Not that they need to happen, but if they have happened, then there's something that we can learn from them.
Yeah, and that's called resilience.
Yeah.
Learning from the worst.
Yes.
But the victim energy is much, it's like everything else. There's a shadow part of it. Like, you know, the, oh my God, I can't do it. It's not my fault. It's my parents, the world, it's blah, 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 blah. But you know what I'm talking about. And there's the light of the victim energy, and the light of the victim energy can be called victory. It's like, I've done everything. I'm still alive. I've lived through this, and I'm still standing on my 2 feet. So there is nothing I can't do because I've been through that. I'm still here. So my God, I'm going to do so much more.
Yes. Drawing strength.
That's victory. And yeah, you've heard about the Karpman triangle: victim, savior, and the what's it called in English? You know, that old-fashioned character who was paid to cut people's head off.
Oh yes. I don't know the English word, but yeah.
Well, that character, even this one is good in one side because this is a Karpman triangle. So you've got these 3 characters, okay? The bad man, let's call it that way because I don't remember the English name for it. The savior and the victim. If you don't want to be the victim, you have to be the other 2 if you haven't healed your wounds, right? So you can be the bad guy who's going to cut everyone's head off, like, this is not my fault, this is yours, and you're going to have to save me. I need a savior, right? Or you are going to save the world because you can't save yourself, okay? So you have to play one of the 3 roles. But it's going much further because the victim can sometimes just decide, okay, I'm not going to cut everyone's head off and I can't save the world. So I am going to save myself, but it's going to take a lot of my energy. So I'm going to become a warrior. I am a warrior, and I can be a dark warrior and send everyone on the war path. Like, everyone comes to me, it's not fair, blah, 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 come, blah. And I'm at war with everyone and everything. Or I can be a light warrior and try to find out how can bring light into my life. How can I see all the things I've lived through and take the experience? Okay, I know that because I've been through it. I can help you because I know what you're going through. I might not have lived exactly what you are living now, but I have lived something very hard too. So I can take your hand and take you with me for a bit of the path I have walked. And I can show you the light side of that path. And it's very interesting, that thing, because you can choose and you can live like as if it was not a power that you have and stay in the victim dark side. So it's not mine to decide. I can't help it. It's not my fault. I don't have any power, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, we all have that power. We all have that inside of us. Or we wouldn't be here anymore.
Yes.
If we have lived through it, we have the strength to make it better.
Yes, I agree. And often it's about remembering or helping people remember that they have the strength. Because, like, for me, every challenge, and it took me a long time to like realize that and really wrap my head around it. Every challenge is there because you can overcome it. The universe is not going to break you. So whatever happens to you, how easy to handle or how hard to handle, you are strong enough to do so. And you can, like you said, draw a lot of strength from your victimhood if you choose to see, like, I've overcome this, nothing can shock me now. You know, there's this deep, like, almost devil may care attitude of, I'm going through everything what comes next, no matter what, because I've lived through that experience. And that gives me so much power, so much strength, so much trust in myself, because I could have easily given up, but I haven't. So there's a lot to draw out of that situation. If we kind of remember that there's strength, because I feel like often if we go very deep down into the victim mentality, or it's the way we've been raised, there's almost this lethargic, there's nothing to do. There's the access to this energy of strength is almost buried deep down, and we don't even remember that we have it. And for exactly this reason, I think it's so necessary to have these conversations, to just have people remind that there is the strength, and that there is always a second, if not third or fourth way to do things, or to look at things and to work with things. So what you shared about the light and dark that you've kind of made visible with your cards, I think is a beautiful way to be remembered by the card you pull on that day, that there is another way of thinking at it, another perspective that you can take on, so that there's this spark that then can lead you to the way of looking from another perspective.
Yeah, it's very important to understand that because you have to overcome things doesn't mean that you have to do it yourself all alone. You have plenty of people here to help you. But the thing that you can't forget is that there are actually plenty of people to help you, but they can't save you. The only person who can save you is yourself. Like, you can't expect people to have a magical wand and take every problems out of your life and make everything that you've lived before be bright and shiny and nice. No, it's not going to happen. Never. Nobody can do that. But those people who take your hand and help you walk that path can show you, okay, this was hard. What did you learn from that? How that make you you? And you would be different if you hadn't lived this. So this is a big strength that you have built through that experience. And if you can share sometimes I share some of my experience, especially in the training, and I explain to people, okay, I've been through this and I'm not angry anymore, because I realized that at some point I was angry enough to save myself. And to use that anger not against everyone else, but for me. And this is such a difference.
Yes. Yes. I feel there's the difference between like choosing you or staying in the disempowerment, or even between like health or sickness, because at some point, if you don't release these trapped emotions, they kind of can make your body sick. And
yeah,
it's totally logical that they do, but you can also say like, okay, I'm using this for me. I'm building something out of that. Not necessarily to show others, but maybe even to show others, but to show myself that I can do that, and that this thing that once disempowered me doesn't have the power over me anymore. So you mentioned the magic wand, and I think like we have that for ourselves, because we can rewrite our story. So nobody else can do it for you, definitely not, but you can go back if you wish to these past experiences, and when we've changed our perspective enough, things heal, and maybe the things you remember are different. So you kind of heal that past wound, which reflects back into the future in a different way. So maybe there is no more anger to that childhood thing that happened to you, because you now are at peace with it, or you even can see the good things that have come out of that. So you kind of rewrite your story completely, and that is really magical, I think. If you're brave enough to look at it for a moment.
Yeah, I'm brave enough to forgive. Not, maybe if someone has hurt you very deeply, you don't have to forgive that person. Forgiveness is not like turning to them and say, okay, it's okay. Like, no, sometimes it's not. But sometimes forgiveness is like, okay, what you did to me was not okay, but I'm not going to let you make me suffer again and again and again for the rest of my life, because obviously you don't care. So I'm just going to decide that you take responsibility or not for this, but I'm giving back to you that thing that you did to me. And from that thing, I just decide to grow stronger, to grow better, because I know that I'm never going to do that to anyone else first. This is wisdom.
Yeah.
Because I know how to be nice when that person was not.
Yeah.
And I know where to hold my hand to someone who has gone through the same thing and say, okay, I understand. And you can live through it. At some point, you're going to feel so alive from that it's going to be such a strength. It's going to be so exciting to be alive after all this.
Which is, isn't it like there's the transmutation of this heavy energy into your strengths by, I love that you put it that way, because I think it makes it really tangible to say, like, forgiveness doesn't mean to say to the other person who like really deeply hurt you, like, it's fine, okay, thank you. It can, but it can also be like the giving back that energy so that you don't have to live through it, and you need to also forgive yourself in that process for maybe taking that on for a long time or whatever the story might be. But there's the separation of these energies at some point so that you can step back into your strength and don't be weighed down by that big baggage that you have held for a long time, that like hindered you from climbing the mountain. To come back to the picture we had before.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Oh no, my life was so heavy. I've had all these horrible experiences. I cannot do whatever. And actually, that's not true.
That's not true. Yeah, and forgiving oneself is very important too, because sometimes we feel guilty for whatever happened to us when we were a child. Think like, maybe I was bad, maybe I was not nice enough, maybe I was not quiet enough. So we grew up thinking that we have to be the best, we have to be the quietest person in the world, we have to not make noise, not show up, not whatever. And we don't dare being ourselves. They're like, stop that. There's nothing to do with this. It has nothing to do with you. That person was hurt and she just couldn't stand it, and she just hurt you in return so that she was not alone on a hurting path. But if we heal from this, we stop that hurting other people to make like, oh, I'm not alone to suffer. That's good. Like, no, because you've hurt someone else to feel better. It's not working. No. Like healing other people or showing other people like you can live through it and you can make something beautiful out of it. It's much empowering than hurting other people because you've been hurt yourself. Yeah. So forgiveness is that path.
Yes, I agree. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because since a few days in my head, there is this old saying. I think my grandparents have lived through that kind of communication with their family of like, when someone cries or someone is like upset, then it's like, oh, you're upset. I now give you something to be upset about. And then there's a lot of violent, emotional or physical even happening. And that's like a classical sentence that I've heard mirrored back from a lot of people. That is so horrible when you think about it. But that's often how things have worked, to say like, okay, you need to care for yourself in a way that you push others away or make others suffer the same, like you say, or even like devaluate the feelings of others because you can't stand them maybe, or because you don't want to be reminded of your own struggles. So therefore we are kind of like really harsh to others to protect ourselves, but for what costs? It's a really big price people pay for that kind of protective mechanism, instead of forgiving and saying like, it is things have been really not nice in my life, but I choose to call back my power. I choose to do it differently. I choose to not raise my kids that way, or not treat my friends and family that way, because I want to like have a different life, or I want to create a different world, whatever the intention is. But there is definitely this choice of that's not the way I do it, even though I have lived through something like this.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just creating a better place for ourselves inside. Like, it's not saving the world. It's just like, okay, I can't stand just giving that away because I received it. That I don't know if you have that, but I've seen that cartoon on the network sometimes on Instagram. I think that person coming with a big black hole inside of her, and
What do you mean?
he's crossing someone, and that person, I don't know, they did nothing, but that person is upset anyway, so that it doesn't take anything to upset her more. And she's like, "Whoa, la, la," and she gives that black hole she shares that black hole to that person, and that person shares that black hole to whomever, blah, blah, blah. And it's not very difficult to just like, okay, that's mine. Doesn't have to do, that has nothing to do with anyone else.
Yeah.
Maybe someone gave it to me, but the way I deal with this is mine.
Yes.
Like, okay, someone hurt me, someone blamed me or whatever they did when I was a kid, but what I do with this is mine. And I have to choose what I'm going to do with this, or I'm going to transmute that into light, into wisdom, into, I don't know, something nice, or I just share it just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm angry, I'm just sharing anger. Okay, that's a choice, but you're angry, use that to change the world, or use that to change yourself first before changing the whole world. You have to change yourself. And then you transmute it and you've dealt with it. And that's a point to understand that whatever you feel is yours. It's not anyone else. This is where the victim comes to light and becomes the victory. Okay, I understand. You did that to me. The way I feel is mine.
The response.
And I'm not going to give you power and feel bad for the rest of my life. I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, 100%. Giving the stuff back to other people, like the black hole. This image is really beautiful. I've seen it, and I think it's really nice to have a visual to that, because often it's like, oh, that people was just so angry and now I'm angry. But like really seeing that and seeing that, yeah, okay, that might be a feeling that you perceive, but it's your choice if you take on anger or if you make something with it. And there are a few spiritual teachers I follow for a long time who always point out that the moment you experience something, there is a resonance within your field. And I really believe that strongly, that if you have anger or an angry person coming at you, then there's some anger somewhere inside of you, somewhere you are on the same frequency. So that's why that is coming to you. And then you can really shift from the, oh, that person gave you their anger, to why did it come? What's in me? What's the anger inside of me? And how can I let go of that? So you take on that responsibility, like you mentioned just now, back to yourself and say, like, I don't want to live through that. I don't want to be angry. That anger is now within me. And it's not like kind of teaching the other person. I think that's something that we often like want to do with our anger, to say like, now you made me angry, but that's not the case. It's like on you, if you have it, to do whatever with it, but it's your choice what you do and no one else's. And therefore learning that, I imagine a world where, I'm a big idealist, so I imagine a world where that will be taught in school, if kids can learn how, like, emotional one-on-one, how to transmute their anger or work through these issues. Kids are often so harsh without meaning it, and then someone else is really hurt or deeply kind of takes that on. But how do we deal with that? If we could learn that from an early age on, how different would the world be if kids have access to that kind of wisdom, or to energy work or meditation on an early age, maybe within school, and experimenting with this way of information, this way of being taught. I think that for me that sounds really wonderful. So
Yeah, and it would be the best because there's something called non-violent communication,
Yes, I know a lot of.
and you're supposed in that way to communicate. You're supposed to start all your sentence with I, like not never. You made me angry. No, I feel angry because
Yeah.
something you did, but that person did this, and so many people don't feel angry about it, but you do. It's not them who made you angry. It's because that anger was actually inside of you, and that sparkled it, right? It's just like a sparkle comes and set it on fire, but it's yours. So it's I feel angry because it hurts me because blah 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 whatever, and how can I work on that place where anger is still resonating? Where does that anger comes from in the first place? Not that person, but maybe not the one before, but maybe very, very earlier on. And it's still there. Okay, it's still there. Okay, I still have to work on this. I have to forgive myself for carrying it. I still have to forgive myself to letting this take my power over joy or peace or whatever was supposed to be here in the first place.
Yeah.
But
Moment we
it's
reflect. Yes.
yeah.
Sorry. um is that reminds me of the work with the archetype cards that you designed, like this really coming back to realizing, okay, it's in me, and where does it come from, or how can I transmute it? What is it that wants to be seen there? Because if this anger is in me for that long of a period, and I'm attracting more anger through it, then there's something that wants to be looked at. What is it that I can transmute this with? How can I like shift out of this way of living into something more empowered?
Yeah, this is usually how I use my cards,
Mm-hmm.
the archetype cards. And when I feel something that I know I can't really understand, and I can't, it's overwhelming, and I can't really feel where it comes from. I just ask the game and the deck card and say, okay, what archetype is trying to tell me something? Okay. And all those cards have a shadow and the light part. And they usually, well, the one I pick is always very relevant anyway.
Amen.
And maybe it's, I don't know, whatever. But the base of all of this is the inner child anyway. It all comes back at some point to the inner child. I think the inner child is the, the maestro of all our personalities. It's if your inner child is healthy and joyful and happy, then everything's okay. The rest comes, it's like when you build a house, if the floor, the basement is not stable, if it's not flat enough, well, the house might be not very solid, very, how can I say that? Might be quite rumbling, and well, the inner child is our basement. Everything we build after that is built on that energy. So it's very important to come back often to that inner child and, okay, what can I do to make that part of me safe?
Yes.
I have to look back. What is there to understand, to work on, to acknowledge that I haven't already, to make that part of me safe and feel peaceful
That's how we
and creative.
Yes, yes. Oh, beautiful. You said your cards are only available in France at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment, I hope they're going to be translated soon, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope so. And there's a book to come.
Oh, amazing.
It's coming out in June. I am going to really insist on the fact that it could be translated because it's all about archetypes and how it works. And there's a bit of energy healing at the end of the book too,
Amazing.
understanding chakras and the way chakras work. on the way we are interacting with people.
Oh,
So
I need to
I really hope.
relearn my French so that I can get or translated by my husband. I'm not quite sure. Or maybe there's an option if you ever translate it, then that's the easier.
I'm not sure I'm able to translate it. I've done a lot of translation, but into French because this is my mother tongue and it's easier. But translating into, even if you speak it very well, it's still not your basic language. So it's going to be clumsy. I don't think it's the best.
Yeah, you need someone who's really very fluent in both languages.
Yeah.
It's much.
Yeah. And my way of writing might be very difficult to translate too, because I use a lot of images and symbols and things. So maybe at some point it's going to be quite hectic, but I'm sure there's someone who can do that. I'm calling the universe. Please send me the right person to do this.
Wonderful to share that with more people, to like have a broader audience to that, because there are a lot of cards out there, but they all have the unique frequency of helping just the right people, and what you shared is really, really beautiful. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, I will practice my French.
Great.
Because I think for the cards, it's maybe not as hard to find your intuitive knowledge of what it is, even.
Yeah, and as soon as you've got the basic of it, the basic understanding, I think some people have used them for quite a while now. Sometimes they just pick it up and say, "Oh, I know what this character tells me," and okay, I understand.
Surrender.
Because usually this is how they work. They just come and say, "Oh, I know it hurts here."
Yeah.
To work on that spot.
You kind of get familiar with the energy of each card after a while, and so it's easier to.
And the drawings are very complete, so the drawings tell a story
a lot
as well.
Oh, amazing! Can you send me the links?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I will link it in a description below for anyone who speaks French or is like courageous enough to like translate it for themselves, so that they have access to it. And I'm excited about the book. Please share when it's available.
Okay, with great pleasure. I'm going to insist on with my publisher to have it translated quickly, but well, I don't know.
You called it.
I'm not.
So will come.
Yeah, I'm not a very very famous people for writing this. I'm just doing my little part in my little corner. So I just really hope that one day they're going to be available, because all the people who use them, they are very happy of they kind of open a window on some space that we usually don't go through. It's a path that you usually don't walk. It's a way to really see things like I told you about generosity and selfishness. It's a way to see that it's not a world in black and white. There's so many colors in between, so many.
And the reminder is really good, because sometimes everyday life is kind of suggesting that things are either that or this way, and so like our responsibility again to like come back to say, like, no, there is so many different areas in between, and there's so much to explore. It's not that obvious all the time, and really going back to, with whatever tools we have, to remind ourselves that this world is much more miraculous than having this side and this side, and the space in between actually where the magic and also the power lies. So that is a really beautiful way to do it.
Yeah, it opens a learning path in between.
Which is like we started, it's an ongoing thing, the learning path. So it's a
Yeah.
like, keep growing,
Yeah.
keep evolving on that, and using whatever empowers us on the way, and really not stopping being open and curious about what is coming next, I think.
Curiosity is the best of the thing.
Yes, it is. It is, actually. Wow, I thank you so much. This was
Thank you too.
lovely and inspiring and so soul nourishing, and I'm really